Namaste everybody. I am physics teacher. In this pandemic time, we have to look for alternative methods of teaching. So we have made videos, small videos which can give concepts and which could be shared by other teachers. Then after teaching, it could be shared by students. So I want to share one of my video with you all. This is on potential difference.
Mr. Vikram, we can't hear the audio.
So 1 minute.
At different levels. Namaste everybody. Today I am starting with my next topic on my second video, that is potential difference. Fine. Now look at the word difference. See, this is a tube which has water in it at different levels. Now tell me one thing, what will happen if I take out this block? This water is blocked from here. So if I take out this block, what will happen? The water will flow in this direction, from higher to lower side, isn't it? It means that I can make water flow if I can create a difference. So what is the important word here?
We firmly believe that science cannot be taught without lab. Now to cover up this gap, we have made small videos that is of 1 or 2 minutes, which we can share with students. So I want to share one of that video so that the practical part which would be missing while teaching, we can take care of that.
This is the circuit diagram for parallel. So there are 3 ammeters in the circuit. It has got 2 paths. Now see the main circuit. Now let's write the readings. We would be adding the reading in ammeter 2 and ammeter 3. For ammeter 1, the reading is 0.71. For ammeter 2, the reading is 0.35. And for ammeter 3, the reading is 0.36. So if I add them, I get 0.71, which means the current gets divided into 2 parts, and the sum of the readings of ammeter 2 and ammeter 3 is equal to ammeter 1. Thank you.
After the class, the students can try and test their knowledge on simulations, that is the virtual lab. I am sharing a worksheet and students' response. So this is for series and parallel circuits. All the instructions are clear. The student has to conclude and take readings. We have done that in PHET simulation. This is the student's response. So you can see he has pasted the pictures while he was performing that. All the readings he has taken, which can be seen in the blanks. Finally, he has concluded what we want him to understand. So this is for parallel circuit. Once the concept has been delivered, to motivate and challenge students, we can ask them practical questions so that we can check what is their understanding and their application level.
concept of series and parallel. So I would be posing a question to you which we have circuit. You have to look for the brightness of bulb 3 as soon as we take out the plug of key 2. Yes. Now your question is, why does the brightness of bulb 3 changes? Fine, you can answer that in my next class. Students, now you know
That's all from my side. Thank you.
Now we have Ms. Sonal from Mayur School, Ajmer. So I would request Ms. Sonal to kindly share the screen and share.
Namaste everyone. Namaste everyone. My name is Sonal Singhal and I teach political science in Mayur School, as well as I am the MUN club in charge. And it's my privilege to share my best practices adopted by Mayur School through this webinar based on virtual MUN session. Now I'll be showing you the slides here. MUNs develop leadership skills, public speaking, and the teamwork. But this year, we have plans to organize this conference in a virtual manner. It's a teamwork, and we basically try to adopt basic changes through Google Meet app, and we try to design certain platforms where the students are given a chance to participate and debate. Sir, is the slide visible to you?
They're visible. You can use a full screen. You can use a presentation mode of sharing the screen.
So, the school has very serious commitment for its co-curricular activities, and this year we have decided to take the 5th edition of IHMUN 2020 in a virtual manner. We have done certain planning for this session. Before the MUN could be organized, we created 3 kinds of groups. First group we created based on all 4 houses, and we chose some experienced MUNers here. Then we created one organizing committee group which took care of these 4 houses, and then finally the secretariat group is going to monitor the entire meet. On the same hand, we selected interested students. We provided them the background guides, and this year we have planned to generate 2 committees and simulate them. The training sessions are already underway, and they are proceeded on Google Meets through WhatsApp information and exchange the material. And we are planning this year to organize the virtual MUN opening ceremony addressed by the Secretary General, and both houses will be present there, the committees will be present there. And then in between breaks, we are going to start up the 2 virtual committees, United Nations Joint Crisis Committee and United Nations General Assembly Committee. Now, the planning actually initiated in the month of April. We tried to contact the students, the interested ones, and then we planned to give them an orientation session in the month of May. And now we are proceeding with different background guide sessions and with different modules so that they can share their experiences and prepare themselves for the upcoming conference. Now we have adopted 3 changes. We have replaced the conventional problems with technology. Previously, in MUN specifically, there is a chit system, which are delivered to by the students to the executive board. But now the chit system has been changed by a public portal, and the EB can directly get the messages. We have used audio overlappings. Previously, the delegates were allowed and they were expected to speak with the help of their minds. But now, the executive board members are trying to control all the delegates, and they are requested to switch off the mics. They are requested to put on their mics. Thirdly, we are also generating the unmoderated caucus sessions, which are obviously there in actually offline MUs. Now, these unmoderated caucuses will be managed with WhatsApp groups. At the same time, they will be monitored by different teacher in charge. We have huge expectations from this virtual MUN session. The organizing committee is really receiving a positive feedback, and you can see the different sessions we have had with the students in the last 40 days. They are trying to work hard, and we are trying to get a positive remark from the parents as well as the students. So, Mayur School will be presenting the 5th edition of Inter-House MUN on 28th and 29th of June 2020. With this, I stop sharing my video. And I have a note. With the faith in international cooperation and hope to build a new immune society, we hereby begin the virtual IHMUN session in grade students. Thank you very much for listening to me patiently.
Thank you, Ms. Sonal. That was really very good. What we are doing today is virtual meeting sort of thing, sharing best practices, and going virtual for everyone also is a great idea. We wish all the best for your MUN, and I thank Mr. Vikram also for sharing how the lab can be virtually shared with the students. So we are doing a lot of improvisation, innovation, and whatever we have learned during these COVID times, in the first phase of online classes, whatever improvisations we've done, I think we need to take it in the second phase. We don't know what is going to happen, whether we are going to have blended online, but whatever we have learned, I think we need to take, and we have to, we should reflect and improvise further so that we are better off when we start online classes again. So with this, I thank all the panelists for sharing their best practices. Now we have closing remark. We have Lieutenant General Surendra Kulkarni, Secretary Mayo College General Council, and Director Mayo College. We look forward to his closing remarks. Sir, over to you. And may I request you to please share your closing remarks. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Dixit. Am I audible?
Loud and clear, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. First and foremost, my compliments to you for taking up this initiative, because none of us have a monopoly on good practices, and each school and every teacher in his or her way does try their best to come up with something different, something better each time. I've heard all the presentations right from the beginning, and what has fascinated me is the wide variety of tools and techniques people have used. But in my contribution today, and I will not go with what I had planned to say initially, I will go on to just commenting on what I would like you all to consider further. I also wish to thank Mr. Adhiraj for placing the context of these best practices before us right at the beginning. And I think you all need to take note of them, or Mr. Adhiraj can share them with all of you. And you need to reflect on them. You know, they're very simple, but they're very, very profound. But my observations, this is for your consideration. Please don't see this as criticism. There seems to be an obsession with technology at present. Technology is an enabler. There's a risk that we may get enslaved by technology. And it may be a coincidence, but a majority of the presenters today happen to be from the science faculties. As we go forward, and in this age of disruption, there was a time 30 years ago when the communication revolution came, with it came information. So there was communication and information about 30 years ago. The current era is of digitization and data. But what we make of it is the real challenge. And therefore, with artificial intelligence and other things coming in, and a lot of functions machines can do for us. Therefore, as a community of teachers, we need to get away from this obsession with information, which the students can gather from open sources, and get on to interpreting this information. And therefore, if interpretation is the key, then we need to look at, not see the situation purely from a technology perspective, but from an all-stream perspective, which includes commerce, humanities, and every other possible combination. In every possible combination. So because of this, we need to have a major pedagogy shift. And for this major pedagogy shift, we need to invest heavily in teacher training in using these new tools. So whereas I heard a lot of nice things that was said and done, overall my impression is not enough effort has been put into teacher training. Teacher training has gone into teaching them technical tools, technology tools to harness the current situation. But in pedagogical terms, not that much effort has gone in. And one of the keys of the future will be collaboration. We all know it. Because there are complex problems to be solved. And they can only be solved in a team in collaboration. Therefore, I wish I had heard more about how interdisciplinary teams were working towards making the learning experience more meaningful for our students. The next thing very important is that when you are not face to face and your non-verbal signals are not visible to your students, so then your audio-visual communication skills become extremely important. And I think we need to invest very heavily in this. We need to work very hard to improve. We don't have to speak English in a British accent, but the way we choose words, what we say, how do we utilize our time and use our words to have the maximum impact. I often tell my staff that it's far more difficult to convey an idea in a sentence than in a paragraph. But a smart teacher in today's times will convey things in a sentence and therefore release more time for the interaction with students. Now for engaging students, it's very important as to how you do question framing. If a good teacher has to learn how to ask the right questions. And I felt that where discussion, assessments and all were done, it was being done to my mind, not enough emphasis was given on asking open-ended questions, you can do the assessment for the students, it's fine. But do the students feel the sense of curiosity and the excitement to go and read something more, to learn something more? Because they are now having devices at their disposal, they have information at their disposal. So are you firing that curiosity in that child? Because out of curiosity will come a questioning attitude, and that is critical thinking. Must ask why. The student must ask himself or herself why. Not because the teacher is asking why or what. And moment the student asks something why, they will, having learned what they are supposed to learn, go beyond and question the status quo. Out of that will come innovation and creativity. So whereas we talk about these 21st century skills, we need to now nudge our students into it and take advantage of these online tools and techniques at our disposal. There was a question about, I saw in the question box, how do you ensure that students are not cheating? It is not your business to ensure students don't cheat. Can't they do cheating in your classroom also? Can't they bring a cheat with them into the classroom and the invigilator is not looking and then cheat? They can look over the shoulder of the guy sitting in front and try and find an answer. We all know that. It is not our business, because the moment you're starting on this premise, you're starting from a position of distrust with your students. You are not an invigilator or an inspector of schools. If you can create a culture of trust, if you can create a system by which you can easily recognize that has this person just copied information and put it back because it's freely available, vis-a-vis analyzed and thought through and interpreted that information, then it will be a valuable thing. So my final thoughts to you all are, in this digital age, to make this learning meaningful, not only during COVID but post-COVID, our two major points. Please see where will you be 3 to 5 years from today. These technology tools will become part of your daily life. You will not find them exciting anymore. You use them all the time. So where will you be 3 to 5 years time? The difference will be in your pedagogical style and your ability to seamlessly intermix from online and offline teaching. That is one area. And the other area is, in order to give value addition to the students, we must understand this, that today there are inputs all over. Everything is data. So from data we have to cull out information. And from information we have to cull out intelligence as to what to make of it. And from this intelligence will come out an insight. And that is the true learning. So keep these 4 I's in mind: your input, your information, your intelligence, and then finally the insight. If you can generate insight, one is that you grant the insight to the student. The other is you nudge the students into doing their own studies and coming up with that insight. Then that particular thing the student will remember for an entire lifetime. So thank you very much once again, everyone, Mr. Adhiraj, and any of the other fellow principals were there. I saw Ma'am Alka Awasthi's name. If anybody else is there and I missed out, my apologies. And a special thanks to Mr. Dixit for starting this series. I think it's a great initiative. I have personally learned a lot from today's webinar. So whatever I have said towards the end must not be seen as negative criticism, but something constructive for you to ponder over and try and see how can we grant a better learning experience for our students. And I'm sure Mr. Dixit will now brief you. I think we're going to have another event later this month. So back to Mr. Dixit, and you can brief the panelists and the attendees. And thank you everyone for being here for more than an hour and a half and listening to all your panelists so patiently. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable inputs. In the next week, we will be coming up with the principals conference. I will be requesting all the principals and also requesting them to have one more, maybe the vice principal or the senior administrator from their side. So we have principals conference on 28. This had been the first series of best practices webinar, but we would be having more. And maybe after the principals conference, we'll have the next best practices webinar. So with this, I thank all of you. I thank Director Sir Jalal Kulkarni, Mr. Adhiraj, all the panelists. We have principals who have joined us. I have seen Mr. Ravanka from Headmaster Senior School. I have seen Mr. Pramod Chaturvedi, Headmaster Junior School, Ma'am Sindhu, and they had been part of this session. Today's session was based on webinar mode, so it was not possible for others to interact. So we just had panelists having the interaction. So with that, I thank all of you to be part of this, all the participants and panelists and all the keynote speakers for being there. Thank you very much. With this, with everybody's permission, I end this webinar. We meet again on 28th. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.